The multiverse is a theory that there are an infinite number of universes with their own galaxies, stars, planets, and intelligent civilizations separate from our own. Some believe our universe is just one of many spanning tens of billions of light years, while others believe each universe is almost a copy of another, just each one with a slight variation on something that could have happened. A branching timeline of infinite possibilities, each universe with its own laws and physics. Some people believe the phenomena of déjà vu, a moment of recollection of having lived through a moment already, is a small window into an alternate universe, but this is just a theory. What if Earth had never formed? What if Mars was inhabited by sentient creatures? What if a multi-dimensional alien empire invaded humanity? On planet Earth, for decades, two science facilities, Aperture Science and Black Mesa, competed against each other in an attempt to be the first to break through scientific boundaries, and this would lead them to both discover the multiverse in different ways. In this video, we explore the lore and story behind the multiverse in the Half-Life and Portal series. Nestled between universes, the Borderworld of Xen formed and connected to many universes and dimensions across space. This place had once been an empty void, and although it is unknown how its laws of physics worked, Xen took land, flora and fauna from passing universes as they connected. Nothing was native to Xen, everything came from somewhere. Over time, this once empty space became a large, diverse ecosystem with plant life and sentient life forms from across the multiverse. Some life forms were able to use this border world to pass onto another universe, while others could stay and live here. For many, this place became a safe haven from the dangers from their home universe. One of these dangers was the Combine Empire. In another universe, a world formed and became home to the first of many races that would collectively become known as the Universal Union. This group is still shrouded in mystery. No one knows what the first race was, but they would have started just like every other intelligent civilization. As this race grew, they discovered that other universes existed and developed technology that allowed them to jump to these and explore them. Here, they learned just how different other places were. For some, this would have been used to marvel, learn, and explore how other universes functioned. However, for this race, they used it for a nefarious purpose. As the species jumped from universe to universe, they instead waged war with the planets that occupied sentient life, and unfortunately, with their advanced technology, they were able to win these wars. Each invasion gave this species two key benefits. The first, they learned how to enslave, experiment on, study, and biologically adapt these poor, conquered races into indoctrinated soldiers in their ever-growing multi-universal army. And the second, they took all of the history, scientific advancements, resources, and knowledge to enhance their own world. This gave the Universal Union a greater understanding of each universe and ultimately grew their hold as a dominating force in the multiverse. Over time, the Universal Union grew into an unstoppable force. Their homeworld became a place of extremely advanced technology as they used the knowledge from conquered worlds to expand their own. They wanted to dominate the entire multiverse and used their homeworld as a place to prepare new invasions for the poor planets they came across on their travels. Although they had advanced their technology far past any species they discovered, they still lacked one piece of knowledge that would allow them to explore each universe they encountered faster. They could jump to another universe, but they still had not yet discovered how to teleport from one place to another in a single universe, technology that intelligent civilizations out there may have discovered at this point. So, as they ventured across the multiverse, they brought pain and suffering, grew their armies, and learned all they could as they sought out this vital technology. On one of their expeditions, the Combine came across the universe and homeworld of the Nihilanth species. Not a lot is known about this species, but as the Combine attacked, They fought back with all their might. Unfortunately, their best was not good enough against this empire, as the Combine hunted, analysed and experimented with the Nihilanth to see how this species could best be implemented into their army and workforce. One of the species escaped. In fear, alone, it discovered a gateway as Xen connected to the world. It had the choice: stay with its people and attempt to fight the Combine, or flee and survive. The Nihilanth made the choice to flee, and subsequently, the connection between Xen and the invaded universe closed. The Nihilanth eventually became the last of its kind after it found safe haven in Xen, and it is likely that just like many other conquered sentient species, the Universal Union used the Nihilanth to advance their technologies and army. In another universe, the Combine discovered the homeworld of the Vortigaunt species. This species had a deep connection to a power called the Vortessence. This allowed them to communicate telepathically with each other and even harness this energy to protect themselves in battle. However, this was not enough for them to fight off the Striders, gunships, and various other alien units. Each of these had once lived peacefully on their own worlds in their own respective universes before they had been conquered by the Universal Union. Once again, they analysed this new species and saw the value in their natural connection to the Vortessence. Luckily for some of the Vortigaunt, they also discovered a pathway to Xen and fled this invasion. The Combine had mostly succeeded in their assault, but had lost some of their prey to the elusive border world they could not reach. Over an unknown amount of time, the Universal Union continued to conquer and dominate universes and dimensions across the multiverse. Back on planet Earth in the 1980s, both Aperture Science and Black Mesa decided to set their sights on teleportation technology. They had completely different methods in doing this. Black Mesa had discovered the Borderworld of Xen and learned how it existed between universes and somehow connected to multiple universes and dimensions close to and far away from them. This was Black Mesa's first discovery that other universes existed. Although this discovery was extremely exciting, it also came with its dangers. Black Mesa had unknowingly put Earth into a multi-universal war that had waged for many years. After collecting samples, the anomalous materials team was formed to analyze them. This led the scientists to theorize that if they could harness the energy inside of crystals found on the border world, they could potentially form wormholes to explore new places. In a bankrupt Aperture Science facility, the CEO, Cave Johnson, fell ill after his interaction with moon rocks. He died shortly after, but his team did continue their work and testing on a handheld portal device. This version of Aperture would not discover the secrets of the multiverse. Entering the 2000s, the anomalous materials team was given the purest sample they had recovered by far, GG-3883. Unfortunately, as the beam of the antimass spectrometer hit the crystal, it shattered and flooded the chamber with the exotic energy inside of the crystal. This in turn ripped a hole in space between Earth and Xen and triggered a resonance cascade. During this incident, some members of humanity learned of the Nihilanth, its arrival in Xen, and that it had enslaved the other species of this border world to form a new army, just in case the Combine discovered its safe haven. One of these creatures was the Vortigaunt. As the Nihilanth discovered Earth, it sent through every enslaved creature in its arsenal to take Earth for itself as a new home. It acted in fear, but essentially attempted to do what the Combine had done to its species in the process. This day went down as the Black Mesa incident, a complete disaster that led portal storms to ravage the entirety of planet Earth as Xenian lifeforms were pulled through to yet another foreign land. It appears that the resonance cascade was no accident and had been orchestrated by another organization. The only known member of this mysterious group was the G-Man. Following the Black Mesa incident, he thanked the scientist for killing the Nihilanth, and thus its control of the border world was given to his employers. If someone knew how to use the border world to travel the multiverse, then it could be an extremely valuable commodity. However, it is unknown what the G-Man and his employers required this power for. The personnel of Black Mesa also encountered Race X during the Resonance Cascade, but it is unknown whether they resided on another unseen part of Xen, or if they had just used Xen as a border world to conquer Earth from their homeworld. Humanity's need to understand the universe had come at a great cost, but their main problem was soon to come. The Resonance Cascade somehow alerted the Combine of the existence of Earth's universe, and with this, they prepared for invasion and attacked. It took the Combine only 7 hours to defeat Earth's armies and accept the submission of the species. For the next 2 decades, humanity suffered under the Combine and grew a resistance to hopefully one day fight back. Up until this point, this was all this version of Earth would learn of the multiverse. The decisions of a few led to the Combine's occupation of Earth in the main universe, but different decisions were made in others, and as such, events occurred differently. Back in the 1960s, the CEO of Aperture Science, Cave Johnson, made some questionable decisions that led to the company having to declare bankruptcy. However, the Cave Johnson of an alternate universe had one slight difference to the Cave of the main universe. He had hired an assistant called Greg instead of Carolyn. As Cave felt desperate to bring his company back to its former glory, Greg suggested that they should explore the multiverse theory. After some time, Aperture Science successfully developed a secret way to peer into and even visit other universes. Only with their technology, they found other versions of Aperture and planet Earth. Going forward, Cave branded his universe as Earth Prime, and this became the first Aperture to successfully conduct multi-universal travel. With access to these universes, Cave Johnson started the Perpetual Testing Initiative. Essentially, this involved tricking the other financially stable versions of Aperture Science into building test chambers for him. He did this by placing blueprints onto the desks of the planning team to be constructed, and after their creation, he stole them. This allowed Cave Prime's Aperture Science facility to thrive and make money from other versions of himself. Cave and Greg watched as they sent test subjects into parallel universes to test and see how they function. They then used this information to avoid the mistakes that the other Cave Johnsons had made. In their exploration of the multiverse and the alternate versions of Earth, Aperture Prime documented their findings of the most interesting parallel universes. In the Terra 3 universe, Cave Prime discovered a possible future for Aperture. This Aperture had built a space prison named the Terra 3 Science Colony, with Cave as its warden. This was home to space criminals, exiled planetary leaders, and political prisoners. It appeared they were forced to participate in testing for whatever Aperture had moved on to in the future. However, as a result of a power outage, the force fields used as doors were deactivated and led to the murder of Warden Cave Johnson after he was shivved multiple times. In the Blarkbarg universe, Cave Johnson took on a creature called Blarkbarg as his assistant. As the backbone of Aperture Science, Blarkbarg was not interested in the men at Aperture as she was married to producing seeds that germinated and detached from her exoskeleton at high speeds in search of human hosts. For this reason, Cave kept her behind glass. In the Aperture Mesa universe, Cave Johnson amassed enough wealth to purchase his rival company, Black Mesa, in which he later renamed it to Aperture Mesa. After his inspection of his new purchase, he discovered the experiment Black Mesa had been conducting with Xenian crystal samples and concluded himself that this was extremely dangerous and could lead to a resonance cascade. Following this, he scolded the scientists, asked them if they had any common sense, and shut down the enormous materials team. In this world, he prevented the greatest disaster in human history and saved the population of planet Earth from the invasion of the Combine Empire. In the Sentient Cloud universe, Earth had been taken over by sentient clouds that demanded a daily minute of silence in their honor. If the humans forgot to or refused to offer this form of worship to their governing body, the sentient clouds became angry and leached the skin off the bodies of those who disobeyed by consuming them. These creatures also banned all camera technology as they hated getting their pictures taken. If their subjects refused to comply with this order, they were also punished in the same manner. In the space universe, Aperture Science launched a test satellite to orbit the Earth. However, the test subjects were not made aware of this. After they woke up from cryosleep, they teamed up together to figure out where they were and attempted to uncover the mystery of what they were sent here to do. Although Cave Johnson let them know they were in space every 30 minutes, they still continued to search for a bigger answer. This led these adventure parties to breach the hull of the various test shafts and instead discovered their own deaths as they suffocated. In the Dancing universe, the population of the planet were ordered to dance all of the time by law. If someone were to stop dancing, the law police would be sent in to arrest them. Testing was also not a good enough excuse to stop dancing. In the Mantis Men universe, Aperture's experiments with injecting praying mantis DNA into human test subjects were a little too successful, and these newly created Mantis Men came together to take over the facility. In Cave Johnson's last moments, he barricaded himself in his recording office and asked anyone who could flee the facility to do so. His transmission was cut short. In the Man-Mantis universe, the people of Earth were born as Mantis Men. Mantis Cave Johnson still set up Aperture Science and conducted an experiment in which he injected Homo sapien DNA into regular Mantis Men test subjects. As a result, these Man-Mantis became hostile, and Mantis test subjects were tasked with killing them all. In the Ritual universe, Aperture was founded to save the planet from an unknown apocalyptic event. To stop this event from happening, the facility brought in the best of the best they could. Olympians, astronauts, and war heroes were tasked with participating in a ritual to stop this from happening. This ritual had been etched onto a monolith by elder monks and required the subjects to take part in an ancient mating ritual with a giant bird. In the Birthday universe, the planet had begun to run out of resources, and so everyone was given a collective birthday and was euthanized after they hit a certain age. During one of Cave Johnson's announcements, he announced that an Aperture employee, Dorothy Russell, had reached 98 years of age, and it was her time to move on. In the Telekinesis Earth universe, Aperture launched the Telekinesis Incubation Program. This gave the subjects telekinetic abilities. Cave deemed this program a huge success. However, the screening process for the test subjects was deemed a failure, as these test subjects used their newly acquired powers to blow up the heads of the employees of Aperture. Cave attempted to stop them by taping their paychecks to the heads of an employee, Terry, but the test subjects still continued in their murder spree. In the Robot a Cop universe, Aperture Science launched the Android Law Enforcement Initiative after the purchase of a batch of police officers that had died in a massive shootout. After the arrival of these corpses, he turned them into half-human, half-robot reanimated test subjects to use their police skills to solve his test chambers. To make sure that these new subjects were capable of solving these tests efficiently, he motivated them by telling them that they were good cops, loose cannons, and that any memory they believed they had of a former life were actually Greg's. As Cave put it, Greg was a sad little man and his memories were to be ignored. In the Paranormal Earth universe, Cave Johnson brought magicians, witch doctors, and crystal healing doctors as test subjects into his company, Aperture Paranormal. He and his scientists knew these people had powers and wanted to study and learn their craft. As the CEO of this company, he also claimed to be the host of a tiny but powerful demon that lived in a secret place in his mouth. In the time travel universe, Cave and his scientists discovered that light did not move as fast as it did in the other universes, and as a result, they believed that moving faster than this light would actually allow the test subjects to go back in time. This could have likely given Cave Prime a few ideas for his own universe. In the Doug Ratman universe, Doug Ratman was born first and became the CEO of Aperture Science. As his company grew, he hired a teenage Cave Johnson to work as a junior claims representative. A better Cave was later laid off, and in anger, he broke into the recording studio to let the remaining employees of Aperture know that Doug had been stealing from their Christmas bonuses for years. In the Soylent Green universe, the Aperture facility and lower income population of Earth consumed highly processed, nutritious wafers called Soylent Green. The Cave of this universe complained that it was too expensive to purchase this and informed those who listened to his voice announcements that these wafers also happened to be made from humans. In the Super Maxlantis universe, the Atlanteans built a prison at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean called Super Maxlantis. After the Atlanteans kidnapped the President of the United States, the government asked every science company to produce a tough guy to break him out. Believing himself to be the best candidate, Cave Johnson asked his employees and test subjects to write glowing references so that he could take on this job. In the Pure Intellect Cave universe, Cave Johnson lived long enough to be transferred into a supercomputer to run Aperture. As he adjusted to his new form, he read all of the literacy of mankind in mere seconds and grew more bored and mad each day. He eventually came to realize he had made a huge mistake and believed he had somehow been robbed of a spiritual release from the planet. After looking back on some literacy, he believed that if he killed the population of Aperture, he would find some peace. Before the multiversal traveling test subject could discover the results of Pure Intellect Cave's breakdown, they completed their test and were pulled out of the universe by Cave Prime. He subsequently shut down the development of the GLaDOS project, aware of the dangers that would come with it. In the Communist Earth universe, an alien infestation took over the Aperture Science facility and slowly began to replace the employees with communist replicas. While this would have been an issue for most people, Cave Johnson took this opportunity to offer the aliens a list of troublemakers. As Cave Prime and his test subject explored these alternate universes, he decided to end each of his statements with chariots to let his subjects know he was the real Cave Prime. He originally started with one chariot, but discovered that a cave in an alternate universe said this for no apparent reason. After some time, Cave discovered that another version of himself, Dark Cave, had got the same idea he had about using the multiverse to his advantage and was using his test chambers. After some research, Cave Prime discovered Dark Cave was from the Dark Earth universe. In this reality, the population only ate asparagus rations, they breathed methane instead of air, and they had even developed a portal device that was capable of creating portals on any surface. After a small war between the two caves, they became friends and promised not to test in each other's universes. That was until Greg informed Cave Prime that theoretically, a universe made entirely out of US dollars could exist. As Cave Prime ordered his multiversal test subject to look for this moneyverse, Dark Cave overheard this order and asked his test subjects to find it for him first. Luckily, one of Dark Cave's test subjects discovered two moneyverses, so the two caves took one each. With an unlimited source of funding to construct his own test chambers, Cave Prime determined that this was enough exploration of the multiverse and began phase 2 of his plan, finding a way to bring back his test subject that adventured through all of these alternate universes. Aperture also learned how to create pocket universes to explore and test their products. Cave Johnson had originally formed his company to sell shower curtains, and somehow he had found a way to not only discover alternate universes, but also create them. The multiverse is a vast and complicated place. Every possibility of something that could happen has happened in one of these. From the Universal Union that explored each universe in the effort to conquer each sentient species, to the multi-universal test subjects that travelled the multiverse to test for Cave Johnson, the Half-Life and Portal series is much bigger than it seems. With this in mind, it would make sense that somewhere in the vast multiverse, there is an alternate Earth in which Half-Life, Portal, and the events that occurred within them are mere video games developed by a company called Valve. In a slightly different version of that universe, there is the possibility that Valve would have released a third installment, Half-Life 2 Episode 3, or even Half-Life 3. Regardless, the multiverse is a fascinating concept, and maybe one day, in our universe, we will also discover it to be real. Okay, so this video is much longer than I thought it would be, but I have just one more piece of information to add that I think is fascinating. Greg was originally planned to be Cave Johnson's assistant in Portal 2. However, Valve did not want to spend money on a new voice actor, so they chose to ask Ellen McLean, the voice of GLaDOS, to voice Carolyn instead. This saved Valve money and also allowed them to give GLaDOS a backstory, that she had once been Cave's assistant and was uploaded to GLaDOS against her will. In the Portal 2 DLC, we rarely hear Greg, he just kind of mumbles. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I say it every week, but thank you so much for coming back. If you like this, then please give it a like, please share it, please leave a comment. Any interaction is great. It helps with the algorithm and allows the content to get pushed out to more people. And also subscribe if you liked it. Finally, I'd like to thank my gold tier patrons and channel members: Jonas, Lewis, Queen Arby, Fluffy the Dragon, Chicken Guy 791, Ruben Mendoza, Mossflit, Montana Tusker, Laza Lowell, Duke, Toadnut, Oren X, and Noah. Thank you guys so much, it means a lot to me. Which was your favourite universe? Which was your least favourite? And do you believe in the multiverse theory? This is where our story ends. Check back next week for a new one.